The predator pack was starving. Then the humans shared his lunch, and everything changed. The Cathara pack had been hunting for 3 rotations without success. Their sleek obsidian forms moved through the crystalline forest of Nexus 7 like living shadows. But even their legendary predatory skills couldn't conjure prey from an ecosystem in collapse. Zareth, the pack's alpha, felt the gnawing weakness in her limbs as she crouched behind a cluster of luminescent coral trees. Her 6 pack members were scattered across the hunting ground, their mental link buzzing with frustrated hunger. The mining operations had driven away most of the native fauna, leaving behind only toxic pools and barren ground where once abundant herds had grazed. The sound of heavy boots crunching through crystal debris made every Cathara freeze. Humans, the galaxy's newest addition to the Confederation, though most species still considered them little more than clever scavengers. Zareth had encountered them before, soft, slow creatures who relied on crude technology to survive. What was one doing in the dead zones? Through the translucent undergrowth, she spotted him. A lone human male, unremarkable by his species standards, wearing the blue uniform of a terraforming surveyor. He carried no visible weapons, only a battered satchel and some kind of scanning device that beeped intermittently. Most puzzling of all, he was sitting on a fallen crystal log, completely unaware of the apex predators surrounding him. Marcus. Chun pulled out his lunch with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd eaten 1,000 field rations. The nutrient bar was nothing. Special synthesized proteins and vitamins compressed into something vaguely resembling food. But after 12 hours of soil sampling in the wasteland that used to be the Cathara hunting grounds, it might as well have been a feast. He was halfway through his first bite when he noticed the eyes. 6 pairs of them, gleaming like polished obsidian in the filtered light. Marcus had read about the Cathara in his xenobiology course's apex predators, perfectly evolved killing machines capable of taking down prey 3 times their size. Everything in his training screamed at him to run, to call for extraction, to do anything except what he actually did. He broke his nutrient bar in half. "You guys look hungry," Marcus said quietly, placing half of his lunch on the crystal log beside him. "I know it's not much, but..." The mental static that erupted through the pack's link was unlike anything Zareth had experienced. Confusion, disbelief, and something else, something that had no name in the Cathara language because it had never existed before. The prey offers food, sent Kethra, the pack scout. His thoughts thick with bewilderment. "It's a trap," responded Veltar. "Ever suspicious. Some kind of poison or mind control substance." But Zareth was studying the human's posture, his scent, the way his heart rate remained steady despite being surrounded by predators. There was no deception here, no fear-masking chemicals or aggressive pheromones. Just offering. Slowly, she emerged from cover. Marcus watched the pack leader approach, her movements fluid despite obvious weakness. She was magnificent, nearly 8 feet of lethal grace, with elongated limbs that ended in razor-sharp claws and an elongated skull that housed one of the most sophisticated predatory brains in known space. Her species had been ruling this ecosystem for millions of years before humans had even discovered fire, and she was starving. "The mining really screwed you over, didn't it?" Marcus murmured, making no sudden movements as Zareth drew closer. "I've been documenting the ecological damage for 3 months. Your prey animals fled to the southern continent, but your territory is here. You can't just relocate like they can." Zareth paused mere feet from the human. In her millennia of existence, prey had never spoken to her as an equal. They ran, they fought, they died, but they never acknowledged her intelligence, her personhood. This soft creature was doing something unprecedented. She reached out with one clawed hand and delicately picked up the offered food. The nutrient bar was alien to her biology, but her desperate metabolism began breaking it down immediately. It wasn't nutritionally optimal for a Cathara, but it was calories. And calories meant survival for another day. Alpha. Kethra's mental voice was strained. "What are you doing?" "Learning," Zareth replied, never taking her eyes off the human. Marcus pulled out another nutrient bar from his satchel, then another. His entire day's rations spread out on the crystal log between them. Look, I know this isn't a long-term solution, but I've been working on something that might help. He activated his datapad, showing holographic projections of soil composition analyses, water table maps, and ecosystem restoration models. The mining companies destroyed the surface ecosystem, but the underground cavern systems are intact. There are indigenous moss species that could form the base of a new food web. It would take maybe 6 months to establish, but Zarth stared at the projections. The human wasn't just offering food, he was offering hope. A path forward for her people that didn't involve abandoning their ancestral territories or watching. Her pack starved to death. He understands. She's sent to her pack, her mental voice filled with wonder. The human understands what we've lost. One by one, the other Cathara emerged from hiding. Marcus felt his heart rate spike as he found himself surrounded by the galaxy's most feared predators. But he forced himself to remain calm. He divided his remaining food among them, explaining his restoration project in simple terms, unsure if they understood but compelled to share anyway. 3 hours later, the encounter that should have ended with Marcus becoming lunch had transformed into something else entirely. The Cathara had shared their territorial knowledge, marking locations on his maps where pre-mining ecosystem remnants might still exist. Zarth had even demonstrated how certain crystal formations indicated underground water sources as the alien sun began to set. Marcus packed up his equipment. "I'll be back tomorrow with more food," he promised. "And I'll file my report tonight. The Confederation needs to fast-track the restoration project." Zarth watched him leave, her pack gathered behind her. For the first time in rotations, they weren't just focused on survival. They were planning for the future. The human could have run, observed Veltar. "We are predators. His kind are prey." Yet he stayed. Perhaps, Zareth mused, we have been thinking about this wrong. Perhaps the strongest predators are not those who take, but those who give. 6 months later, the crystal forests of Nexus 7 were alive again. Bioluminescent moss carpeted the cavern floors, supporting colonies of crystal beetles that fed schools of translucent fish in the underground streams. The mining companies had been forced to restore the damaged areas as part of Marcus's comprehensive environmental impact report, and in the heart of the restored territory, the Cathara pack thrived once more. But they never forgot the day a human taught them that true strength sometimes meant sharing your lunch with your enemies and discovering they weren't enemies at all.